Well, here we are again, responding to Fem Shapiro, aka Brett Cooper. The comments section with Brett Cooper. God, who would. I cannot imagine. Oh my god. Holy shit. Look at this 982,000 subscribers. Do you guys remember when I got a ton of shit because I kept nonstop saying that we are barreling into the next age of Gamergate? Gamergate, what was it? New Gamergate Plus. That was what I called it. New Gamergate Plus. I kept saying over and over again, we're, kind of barreling in that direction. We're going to see a new age of not only internet and in real life cultural dominance by the right, but also legislative and, in regards to our actual elected representatives, we're also going to see the right dominate that. And of course, we're seeing what's happening now with all the bills getting passed. We're seeing the expected results of the midterms, which have gotten a little bit better from my understanding, but are still looking pretty bad. I was definitely right. Can we acknowledge that for a moment? Can we start this video by sucking me off and telling me how right I was? Because I don't get to hear that very often. I don't get enough credit for how often I'm right, do I? I really, really don't. Listen, I'm not trying to blow myself off here. In all seriousness, I genuinely don't think I get enough credit for calling shit like this as often as I do. Because in the last year that I've been calling this out, we have seen an unprecedented push to restrict the rights of LGBT people in this country. We have seen an unprecedented explosion in astroturfed right-wing content creators who are having oil billionaires pay to have ads for their videos run constantly on every corner of YouTube. You cannot escape ads for these fucking channels. That's why they're growing so fast, is that they have so much money to spend on YouTube advertising. So chances are, if you are a Brett Cooper fan watching this right now, you probably discovered her from one of her ads running on a video. That's because she is paid by oil billionaires who are astroturfing her entire career onto this platform in order to push brain dead propaganda on you so they can continue to make more money, because a sleeping sheep population like you guys are the type of population that allow the evil ghouls that pay people like Brett Cooper to continue to destroy our planet and continue to not only just fuck you over and take what you're owed, your everything from your labor value to your right to live in a planet that's not being destroyed by human endeavor. You're enabling all of that when you watch this type of content and support it, assuming you're a Brett Cooper fan. So big evil simps from hell? Yeah, it's like subbing to a girl's OnlyFans, only every single time you do it, it kills a puppy somewhere. I don't know where that example came from. I wanted to make a simp comparison, but that was that was all that my brain could come up with. I'm sleep deprived. I need more weed if I'm gonna be funny.
We should accept that pedophiles.
Oh god, why did I just press play? I haven't even set up the video well enough. Anyway, well, we're back here with Fem Shapiro again, aka Brett Cooper, and she's made a new video. It's already doing very, very well, as to be expected, called Twitter Bans the Term Groomer, which is quite the interesting title, because I'm pretty sure that's not true. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm pretty sure if I tweeted groomer right now, or if I quote tweeted some pedophile lolly account, and believe me, I've gone to war with a whole lot of pedophile lolly accounts. Oh, and let me just remind all of you real quick, all those accounts are run by conservatives. So, with that said, when I do encounter those people, I'm sure if I quote tweeted one of those people and called them a groomer right now, I would not get banned. So, I don't know what the point of that title is, other than to lie to your audience and clickbait. But we're starting off with a pretty interesting image here. We got a clip that looks like it was pulled straight off of 2004 YouTube, some broken alpha build before they even dropped the whole website. Breaking news. Scholars say pedophilia is now a sexual orientation that should be accepted by members of society. Now, something I want to point out right away is that this headline alone should be raising massive amounts of red flags in regards to the legitimacy of the story. So for starters, scholars? Who are we referring to? Are we talking about academics or students that were studying at a certain university? Are we talking like university, I don't know, fucking Yale University scholars. Like, who are we referring to? This could literally just be like some random weirdo or a couple of random weirdos claiming this, assuming the story even is true. Say pedophilia is now a sexual orientation. So this is what stood out to me most in this like headline. Pedophilia is now a sexual orientation. What scholar claiming this would word it that way? How, if someone was claiming that pedophilia isn't a sexual orientation, they wouldn't say it is now one. That's not how sexual orientations work. They made it using this. Wait, real? Wait, no way. Oh my god, it's no. So this is the headline that we see here. Oh, that's so fucking ah. I can't say 100,000,000% that that's what this is, but the video crops any form of like branding that this news company could have. There's no way to it looks identical to this, and this looks pretty much similar enough to everything from what Fox News to CNN use. So you really can't tell. This could be fake, this could be real. That's actually a really good call, though. Really good call, Salty Internet Pirate. How much do you want to bet this clip that this entire video is being based off of is, if not fake, at the very least, being heavily exaggerated for the sake of making a political narrative? How much you guys want to bet? Come on. Come on, put the numbers in chat. I want to see how much you guys want to bet. I'll put some money down. I'll put some gifted subs to the chat down. All right, let's go.
We should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality.
I'm sorry. How about we don't do that? Thanks very much.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have no doubt that video is probably being either is fake or being extremely over exaggerated or over magnified, to say the least, because this looks like it came from 2006. Much more than it needs to be for a narrative. So let's start with talking about pedophilia. So pedophilia is not a sexual orientation. It is exactly what the name implies it is. It is a philia. Philias, kinks, and sexual orientations are not the same thing. Many people can confuse them and mix them up. That is just not how it works. A sexual orientation typically refers to a unchanging tendency of attraction that one has that is not influenced or controlled as far as humans have been able to tell, by nurture, but instead by nature. There isn't evidence that, like, unless you guys want to supply me with it, I don't think there's any evidence that being gay is taught. The evidence seems to heavily suggest that you're born gay, or you're born straight, or you're born bi, or you're born pan. Bi and pan are functionally the same. It's just more of a ideological and wording, differentiation, but still. With that said, these are different things. There's a very overwhelmingly, now this is based off of like to be fair, I've not done a shit ton of research on this. It's one of those topics that kind of makes you feel a little bit, frankly, you feel dirty even researching it, because you have to fucking type things into the search bar that just feel weird to type when you're having to research this kind of stuff. Oh, are we getting raided right now? Oh, guys, I think we're getting a Nazi raid right now on the website. Well, I suppose you might want to ban Tsunami. Basically, everybody's saying Dumpy. Ban those people, I guess, mods. Zan, no? No, what's up? Oh, Surus sent us. Oh, okay, it's a Surus raid. Okay. He was being... Okay, I'm sorry. Listen, all right? I'm used to, when I do late night streams, having Nazis raid my chat, okay? They always wait until I do late night streams like this with a lower viewer count to raid. So I'm always ready to pull the trigger on anybody who comes in looking sus. Hold your fire. Hold your fire! I'm so glad I got to say that. No one gets to say hold your fire with such genuine forcefulness to their voice without sounding like a dumbass. The trauma was speaking there, LMFAO. No, it's just really annoying to have to deal with raids when you don't have mods in chat, so I like to be like, mods, get on it when the raids start, because usually it starts with a couple people, then it ramps up when people raid the chats. Anyway, we'll continue then. Anyway, I've done very cursory research on this, and I'm not a big fan of, like, the things that you even have to type into the Google search bar in the first place to do research on this. But from what I can tell, a lot, and I mean a lot, of pedophiles were themselves victims of child sexual abuse. Now, I'm not implying or stating that having been a victim of child sexual abuse makes you likely or more likely to become a pedophile or end up being a pedophile. It's not what I'm claiming here. However, there is strong evidence, strong correlative evidence. Granted, there's not enough evidence to suggest causation. However, there is strong correlative evidence between abuse, particularly young childhood sexual abuse, and ending up a pedophile as an adult. Pretty strong correlation. Granted, correlation does not equal causation, but it's there. And it's worth considering when you think about something like this. Sexual orientation does not seem to follow this. Conservatives will try to claim it does. It's not the case. Sexual orientation and philias are decidedly different. I could go down the list and explain more reasons why, but they just aren't the same. Academics and medical and mental health professionals are not advocating for pedophilia to be viewed as a sexual orientation. The closest to something like this that you can really get in any serious academic, medical, or psychological institution that you're going to find is something that I have seen people take an issue with, but is regardless probably a good thing. Now, assuming you're not a fucking demon, you probably want less kids to get molested by pedophiles, right? Show of hands. I'd like kids to get molested by pedophiles less. That's my ideal world. A little less of that. And evidence does suggest that simply heavily stigmatizing pedophiles as we do now in our society, while it does a lot to discourage the public normalization of pedophilia, which is important, it doesn't really do a lot to prevent it. There's still a pretty huge problem with human sex trafficking, particularly among young girls. Rates of kids getting diddled by older men usually has not changed all that much. Not much has tangibly changed. Not many kids are getting saved and having this prevented from having it happen to them because of the heavy societal, sort of hate towards pedophiles, which is justified. I think if you see somebody who wants to take advantage of and hurt the most vulnerable and yet at the same time most precious part of our society, children, then you should feel angry. You should feel the desire to want to hurt somebody who would want to hurt a child. Yeah, it's completely natural and normal. But at the same time, if we're trying to have a very productive conversation about how to prevent kids from getting hurt, and we're not just venting our feelings about how much we hate pedophiles and they piss us off, which they do, then we have to have conversations about how to really fix the problem. And there have been academics and scientists and, medical professionals that have advocated for the softening of language around pedophiles, even adopting the term MAP. MAP is a dog whistle. It means pedophiles. M-A-P. It means pedophile. No matter how you see it used, it is a dog whistle, a softening of language to refer to pedophile. Okay? Just letting you guys know that right off the bat. Now, the term originates, it stands for minor attracted people or minor attracted persons or something. I believe it originates from Reddit. Or Tumblr. It originates from Tumblr, I believe. And kind of made the viral jump to Twitter. And now, of course, we have the absolutely degenerate scumfuck cesspool of Twitter pedophiles and lolicons and shotacons as well that basically use the term map and lolicon and shotacon as well interchangeably as, you know, a dog whistle for pedophile, because they know the word pedophile is a really nasty sounding word. And these are not people that are trying to seek, you know, help. These are not people like what these academics and doctors in these medical institutions are talking about, where they're like, we don't want to make the pedophiles that we're trying to treat and prevent from having a desire to go after kids, we don't want them to feel like they're going to be judged and like potentially prosecuted if they come in and get treatment. That's what they're worried about. They don't want the, you know, going in there to be like a horrible, embarrassing, or God forbid, scary thing. They want it to be a welcoming thing. The more pedophiles that get help, the better. We don't want them to be even having the desire for kids, right? And so we get into this really weird sort of black and like there's this really thin line we find ourselves having to tread on, where on one end you've got Twitter and Tumblr pedophiles who made the word map and who are actively making other words that are dog whistles to soften pedophile into something a little more acceptable for the sake of making pedophilia a broadly socially acceptable thing, to normalize it, to make it something that people are okay with, not to prevent it, not to make it a more open place to get treatment. And then on the other end, you've got academics and medical institutions and like trained psychological medical professionals that are advocating for a softening of this language in certain institutional spaces, in order to help with treatment and the prevention of children being abused. And now you've got like the people who are watching both of these sides and they can't tell the difference. Shuanhead's fallen into this trap a couple times, I think, though her concerns in some of the cases she's pointed out are valid. And I do agree with some of the concerns about even like medical institutions softening the language too much. But it's a really complicated thing. And unfortunately, if your goal is to actually prevent kids from getting hurt and sexually abused and not to drum up political points, and push a narrative, then it's a much more complicated conversation than just the lefty gays are trying to fuck your kids, you know?
We should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality.
I'm sorry. How about we don't do that? Thanks very much. Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. You know, I thought that I was going to have a normal, nice Tuesday.
Oh shit, she's doing the thing with her legs I do. Hell yeah. Based XQC chair sitter. This is how XQC sits as well.
Afternoon, and then my producer texts me that Ped0s is trending on Twitter. So we are in for a wild ride. But before we get into it,
I would love to compare my pedo KD with hers. I guarantee I've gotten more pedophiles banned off of Twitter than she has. 100%. She's gotten maybe one banned off Twitter if she's lucky. I've gotten dozens. Hypers in chat, if you remember the war. Who remembers the great pedophile war of the Xander Hall channel of 2020? How many pedophiles did I fucking BTFO on my stream while playing Minecraft during summer 2020? Had to have been like a dozen, at least. How many more did I get banned off of Twitter in the meantime? Via quote tweeting them and telling you guys to report them. That was a wild time, summer 2020. Whew. Zan, she can't fight against pedophiles because she'd go against her audience. Now, to be very clear here, by the way, overwhelmingly, if we look at institutional examples of children being sexually abused, those that continuously enable them and continue to uphold those systems are conservatives. For example, child marriage here in America is legal in the vast majority of US states. And the vast majority of those states are red. In fact, it is the blue states in that vast majority of states where child marriage is legal that are actively trying to make it not legal anymore. And it is the Republicans in those states that are pushing against them. Right now, there's a pretty significant, huge issue with Republicans fighting to protect the institution of child marriage in this country, which is still legal in most red states. Just thought I'd remind you.
but make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel.
Girl I had a crush on when I was 14. We were both 14 years old. She got arranged married. When me and this girl were 14, the guy that she ended up marrying was 21 years old. They're married now. They're married now. She and him got married when she was 16, 2 years later. They get like the arrangement started when she was 14 and was married by the time she was 16. That's Florida. Because parental permission. Parents are basically selling their children. Yep, they were Jehovah's Witnesses. Yep. Staunchly conservative, too. You better believe they love Trump.
If you are not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss. That's my Harry Potter ringtone. But before.
By the way, we're about to see a whole lot of concern trolling in this video, and she's going to spend like half the videos saying pedophilia is bad to basically make it so that anybody who disagrees with the other half of the video, which is all political propaganda, look like they're tacitly against the other half of the video, which is going to be her concern trolling and just saying, look, pedophilia bad. Of course it's bad. Everybody knows this. No one disagrees. Anyway, she's going to spend the whole video concern trolling, so let me go ahead and make like an actual point here that, you know, so there's actually something productive being said, okay? There is a problem on platforms such as Twitter, Reddit, Tumblr, etc., with allowing pedophiles to continue to exist on those platforms. This is not an ideological problem, though. It is simply a business problem. You see, for the same reason that people like Brett Cooper, Ben Shapiro, and the other Daily Wire types and the other conservatives and all that, and pedophiles, of course, are allowed to continue to exist. I know there's a lot of crossover in those two groups. Don't worry, guys. I'm aware. I'm aware of the redundancy in breaking those two groups up. Anyway, the reason why these people are allowed to continue to have a platform on these large platforms is because the platforms realize that there's a cost-benefit analysis to be made, right? Every single day, a channel like Brett Cooper's is risking YouTube going into another adpocalypse because pretty much every single video she uploads, she's engaging in hate speech. She's breaking YouTube TOS in every single video. I don't think I've seen a Brett Cooper video yet in which she doesn't break YouTube TOS. And yet, not a single strike, as far as I'm aware. She's certainly still up on the platform. I get false striked all the time. I get false striked at least twice a year. False striked by YouTube. Like for stuff I didn't do. Twice a year. Now, that's because this is a large channel, one that's obviously been astroturfed to its size, much like Abby Shapiro's channel was. And because of that, YouTube can tell how much money this channel is making them. This video alone got over 100,000 views in a day. My channel gets around 350,000 views a month total for an entire month. Right now. Just to give you an idea, all right? And I do this full time. So considering that this video alone in a day has made a third of the views that my entire channel does in a month, that should tell you how much money not only is this channel making her, but is also making YouTube, which is really what matters here, because YouTube is taking roughly a 40% cut of everything every YouTuber makes, including me and including our girl Brett here. YouTube is taking a nice, fat, juicy cut of 40%, I believe, from every single dollar that Brett Cooper makes off of every bit of hate speech she says, and they know it. So YouTube does I assume YouTube's algorithm does a cost-benefit analysis every time it detects something obviously TOS breaking in one of her videos or any conservative's videos, and if it's making them enough money that it's worth keeping up, then they'll keep it up, but if it's getting to the point where it's not making them enough money for the risk of another adpocalypse, I'm sure they'll strike it. They got Molyneux once his channel died. Do you remember that? Molyneux had 0 strikes in his channel. Stefan Molyneux, very famous neo-Nazi figure. On YouTube, had millions of subs, very well known for years and years and years. Then once his channel started dropping below 100,000 views per upload, YouTube just immediately banned him. No strikes, no warning, immediately banned him. Once he stopped making them as his channel started to die. It was the most obvious and shameless shit ever. I would have called it out at the time if I wasn't busy celebrating how funny it was for him to get banned. It's not censorship, it's favoritism. YouTube is playing favorites with application of their TOS based on who's making them the most money. The problem is, cancel culture doesn't work if you make the platforms you're supposedly supposed to get canceled from or whatever enough money. because then they've got an incentive in making the platforms as comfortable for you as possible, as long as you keep acting as that money printer. Which is what Brett Cooper is. There is not a hint of sincerity or genuine personality in this video. She's a canned personality. This isn't a real person we're watching, by the way. Like, the Brett Cooper we're seeing on camera right now is not her actual personality. She turns off the camera, and she's a different person, I guarantee it. She's playing a character. She's being paid to do a job. This is a canned personality she's putting on for pay to put out propaganda for her content. Are her views that she gives here reflective of her real views? Probably, overwhelmingly, but the general way that she's acting, and, like, this is a studio. She's playing a character. She's not, this is not her coming out here as just some random, boots on the ground, like, what's the term for it? Grassroots content creator, just YouTuber, just working her way up. She started her channel as an affiliate with Daily Wire. The ads are paid for that built her channel by Daily Wire. This is not just some YouTuber who's doing this out of the kindness of her heart, guys. But the fact that nothing is done about them leads to a confirmation bias that it's acceptable. Well, here's the thing, though. Conservatives would say they are being canceled and they're the victims as they hold the Glock to the back of your head, pull the trigger, and send your body down into the pits in which they are burning the bodies of the genocide, okay? They will act like they are the victims as they pull the trigger to kill you and push your body into the pits, okay? Into the burn pits, okay? They will play the victim until the end. They will play the victim even after they've won. If they win, you better believe they'd tell future generations that they were the victims and that they fought an oppressor. It doesn't matter how much they're winning, how much money they're making, how big their channels are, the fact that they aren't getting banned, they aren't actually getting axed for constantly breaking TOS and constantly posting hate speech. They know that's not what's going to happen, but they can just say it will. Who's going to call them out? If I just started saying in every single one of my videos, hey guys, YouTube's really, really rough with lefty content creators. I could get banned any day now, so make sure to support my channel. I could just say that and really drum up a panic about it at the end of every segment from now on, and there's no way to disprove it. It'd be super dishonest and super pathetic and basically on par with what every conservative content creator does at the end of every single one of their videos, but it would be super dishonest. And I don't do it, but I could. There'd be no way to disprove that, you couldn't claim that I was lying. You can't see my YouTube backend. I can't see Brett's YouTube backend. You can't see anyone's YouTube backend unless they show it. So YouTubers love to over-exaggerate how bad YouTube is being to them. I'm not saying YouTube isn't shitty to YouTubers, but content creators over-exaggerate that shit.
Before we get into it, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you are
Hey, wait, hold on. I'm going to let Brett Cooper do my entire intro here. Do all of this, but for my channel, guys.
That you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you are not already, and ring that bell so that you never miss a comment section episode. Anyway, now that we've dealt with that
insert Xander Hall stream
interruption, Ped0s is trending on Twitter because Twitter just banned the word groomer on the platform. So now people are just being honest and saying pedophile, which I really don't have a problem with. I do have a problem with them banning the word groomer. Seems like they are protecting the wrong people.
So, assuming in this weird, twisted scenario that groomer is actually now a banned word on Twitter, I'd probably guess the reason for that is because overwhelmingly it's just being used to refer to anybody who's LGBT. So, yeah. Yeah, if you're just calling... If you're just... That word has overwhelmingly just been co-opted to just refer to gay people on Twitter you want to call a pedophile. Because everyone wants to kill pedophiles, and so if you convince people that all gay people are pedophiles, then, well, I'll let you put those puzzle pieces together.
People, if you catch my drift. LGBTQ Nation wrote an article about it. Twitter enforces its ban on calling people groomers as anti-LGBTQ hate speech. A right-wing comment...
Will Twitch ban me for saying that I don't want to kill pedophiles? Whoa, 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 whoa. Listen. It's okay to want to kill pedophiles, guys. Listen to me right now. It is okay. You can simultaneously believe in restorative justice and hold the opinion that our legal systems and whatever ought to be the most, morally and all that, all that stuff, like none of the retributive violence stuff, while personally having a strong urge to want to hurt those that would take advantage of the most vulnerable and incapable of protecting themselves in society, children. It is completely natural and fine to feel a very strong feeling of rage and hatred towards pedophiles for that reason. When you act like when you say things like, no, it's not right to want to, you sound so fucking bad. I'm sorry, guys, but like 99.9% of people in society their blood boils when they think about the concept of a pedophile. Pedos don't hurt kids. Oh, that's okay. Then we're banning. Ah, yeah, yeah. I thought that was getting a little too sus. I thought that was getting a little bit too sus. Um, yeah. So to be clear, hello Artemis Frost. Interesting topic. Oh yeah, we're getting spicy here. So the issue is that most people, rightfully so, have a very strong emotional response to even the idea of a pedophile, right? It is okay to get angry, to be like, yeah, to think in your mind, even if I saw some weirdo guy trying to grab a kid, I'd fucking knock the shit out of him. I'd knock his teeth out. That's a fine feeling to have. That is not inconsistent with having the philosophical and like moral position that we ought to have a system put in place in which we have restorative justice. We try to rehabilitate people instead of, destroy their lives or kill them in a response to them having something going on with them. That's an issue, right? These opinions can exist simultaneously, much in the same way. You may not believe in the death penalty, but if somebody breaks into your house and shoots your child in front of you, I'm not going to call you a hypocrite if you cap that guy in the fucking head. If you hunt the guy down and cap him in the head in revenge, I won't blame you. All right? Sometimes there's a little bit, there's like a drop off, right? Like where your ideals, they're called ideals for a reason, by the way. Hold on. Guys, remember, our positions are called ideals for a reason. They are ideals. Our ideology is a set of ideals that we are striving for. That doesn't mean we can always reach the ideal situation. We're trying to get as close to it as possible. I like to think. That's called harm reduction. With that said, I think there's like a drop off where what you would do in a situation, how your emotions would respond, how you can reasonably emotionally respond to a situation, how I would morally judge you. I think that can be a completely separate thing from how you believe the world broadly and how the systems of this world broadly ought to function and how you actively advocate for them to function. They are different things and they can be different things. When you act all fucking pissy and triggered when people get mad or say they want to kill pedophiles or whatever, you just make yourself look bad. Let people vent. 99% of the time, the people that vent on Twitter about wanting to kill pedophiles themselves might have been the victims of child sexual abuse. Like, just let them vent. Let people vent, okay? I hate the tendency for lefties to be like, well, actually, that's what... Come on. It's such bad optics to be the person that comes out and says, well, actually, that's a really bad like, this is not a fucking academic institution. We are not currently in a clinic for rehabilitating pedophiles. We are on a Twitch stream and YouTube stream in which we like to dunk on pedophiles. So we don't have to do the whole softening the language thing here, guys. We're allowed to be all mean to them. As mean as Twitch will let us be, because Twitch has rules on how mean you can be to anybody.
Commentator got suspended for tweeting "Okay groomer" at a trans woman he was having an argument with. So that is
That's a little bit of a different context than Twitter just outright banned the word groomer, that sounds like somebody specifically got banned because they called a trans woman a groomer. Because she's trans, most likely, because that's what you guys are doing right now. Let's not pretend that's not the current conservative grift. Come on, calling every trans woman you see a groomer. Come on, that's the go-to. That's an easy figure salary a year at least.
Is how Twitter and a lot of other platforms are rationalizing this. They're saying that it is a slur, that it is homophobic, and so nobody is allowed to use the term.
Wait, are you also on YouTube? Yes, I am, Artemis Frost. Most of my viewership is on YouTube. I've got a website too. The chat you see on screen right now isn't my YouTube chat or my Twitch chat. It's actually my website chat. I've got a website, xanderhall.com/live. It's its own custom chat, custom emotes, all that stuff. And that's what I have embedded on stream. And then my website has my YouTube stream embedded. And then my Twitch stream's just kind of there as it's there. It's just kind of doing its thing. Not a lot of people hang out there, but, it's just kind of chilling. It's vibing.
Anymore. Twitter's representative for their health product communications team said, "We are committing to combating abuse motivated by hatred, prejudice, or intolerance, particularly abuse that seeks to silence the voices of those who have been historically marginalized," classic term. "For this reason, we prohibit behavior that targets individuals or groups with abuse based on their perceived member."
Oh shit, is she actually going to try to claim that this is Twitter taking a stance that pedophilia is, or pedophiles are a historically marginalized group? They're referring to trans people. This statement is clearly referring to trans people and not calling people pedophiles because of their gender identity, and that alone on Twitter as a large public figure. Is she going to try to claim this is Twitter taking a stance in favor of pedophiles? Well, of course she is. They think that all LGBT people are pedophiles. Do you guys remember back in the original Gamergate era, they had to be more mask on. The right wing was more accepting of trans people than they are now back then in 2016. Back in 2016, you generally couldn't really be openly transphobic to binary trans people. If you wanted to be openly transphobic, you had all caps had to put it on non-binary people. Non-binary people were 100 billion% okay to make fun of, from everyone to Chris Reagan and Schuonhead to Sargon of Akkad and the neo-Nazis. Nobody thought non-binary people were valid in that space back then. That's not the whole accept it, even considering using they them pronouns or even neo pronouns. That was something you could not find on the internet prior to 2019, 2020. Or I'm sure in certain spaces you could, but in large Twitter communities and large YouTube communities and large Twitch communities, this was not something that would have flown. No, not pre 2019. No fucking shot. No shot, bucko.
Membership in a protected category. Use of this term, groomer, is prohibited under our hateful conduct policy when used as a descriptor or in the context of discussion of gender identity, which is really how it is used these days. I am not trying.
By you guys, yes. By actual people trying to fight against child grooming, child sexual exploitation, and sex trafficking, the term groomer is used to refer to the practice of an adult basically preparing a child and making them both mentally, physically, and emotionally, and possibly even financially reliant on that adult to open them up to sexual advances. That is what grooming is. What they are calling grooming is when a lefty content creator who's trans says, yeah, sometimes kids can have gender dysphoria, and medical institutions overwhelmingly agree that there are a set of treatments that can be provided with the consent and the supervision and obviously by a doctor, and that's what we support. And then they respond to that by saying, "You're trying to groom kids! You're trying to groom kids!" So yeah, that word has kind of lost its meaning among conservative spaces. But if you actually use the term properly, then all power to you.
To promote people walking around calling any gay person groomer, that's wrong and it's not right, and it's a very dangerous general.
Gay people? I thought we were talking about trans people. The guy who got banned was referring to a trans person. The Twitter statement was about gender identity. Is she just using gay broadly here, or does she legitimately not? To be fair, though, conservatives don't even know the difference between like the different letters in the LGBT acronym. Like they don't even know the first listen, I'm not saying to talk about politics or even these topics you have to know the whole LGBTQIA plus plus acronym and like the whole thing or even a lot of it to know what it means and what the letters represent. But like if it's your job to expose the gays and the LGBT community for being groomers and, you know, corrupting our civilization, don't you think that you would at least have enough knowledge about your supposed enemy to know the acronym they use to describe themselves? Because the most common thing I see from conservatives is them fucking up the acronym, forgetting it, or not even knowing what it means. And you'd think that somebody who's even done the smallest amount of cursory research on the topic of apparently there being a pedophile epidemic in the gay community would at least be basically familiar with the like most essential information about the gay community, right? Basically what I'm pointing out here is these are red flags about content. When you notice a content creator that you watch commonly gets things wrong all the fucking time and then doesn't do anything to correct themselves or amend that or acknowledge that, and they just roll with it, then you're listening to them and taking them at their word on topics you don't know enough about to know if they're wrong, then you probably shouldn't be taking their word for it. Good example of this is like I get you ever watch the Act Man? The Act Man is a very popular gaming YouTuber who basically swings between making extraordinarily viral game reviews about popular beloved video games that get millions of views, and then like the next upload will be like you're just run of the mill anti SJW video. So he gets like a ton of new viewers with like why Fallout New Vegas is so awesome, 5 million views, like just the most clickbaity, easy views ever. And then the next video is how feminists are destroying video games or some shit like that. And then those people watch that and they get, they're getting sucked in, right? That's how they make this type of content, right? They pretend like it's not political. They pretend like it's just entertainment and whatnot. Very much like this content's meant to. But they're pushing a whole ideology on you. Keep an eye out for it. But yeah, I was watching the Act Man, and like, here's the thing. I've responded to a couple of his political videos, and they are so stupid, and his takes are so provably wrong. Like, listen, they're so provably wrong that when you Google, like, he'll make a statement, and then you can Google the question that should supposedly like give you the answer that was that statement, and then it gives you then like Google will literally get like, you know how Google will literally give you a box with an answer to a question because it's like Google will literally provide you with like an amalgamation of the answer, right? Because it's just, like if you ask 2 plus 2, it's not going to show you a website that says 2, or like with like a the first result isn't a website that tells you what 2 plus 2 is. The first result on Google Chrome is 4. A little calculator pops up. Same goes if you ask, what is the height of Mount Everest? It gives you the height in a little box, not a website that says it. So, when I would like look up some of the things that Act Man would say in his political videos, there would be literal Google boxes. Like the Google box would pop up to disprove what he was saying. That's how evidently wrong he would be in some of his political videos. And it's like, holy shit. If someone can be this stupid and this dumb politically, should I even be trusting this man's gaming videos? How trustworthy are this guy's gaming videos if he can't do much research? Like, is this guy's Fallout New Vegas review going to be well-researched and well-made if this guy can't even do the cursory research to actually, like, figure out whether or not gender dysphoria is recognized in the DSM-5 or some shit like that? I don't know. That's just a random example I brought up. That's how like simple of a wrong take he would bring up in his videos on politics. It's one of those things. It's a red flag. It should make you reconsider whether or not you should just take this content at face value and mindlessly gobble it up. Same goes for my content, by the way. Do not turn your brain off and just consume my content like there's no thinking to be done. Your brain's got to stay on while you watch my content. If I say something that sounds wrong to you, Google that shit, research it, and tell me, please, so I can be correct. Yeah, listen, all right? Being incorrect does not pay very well unless you're good at making incorrect, unless you're charismatic to make incorrect opinions look good. And I'm not charismatic enough to make incorrect opinions look good. She is. I'll give her that. So I have to be correct. Otherwise, I can't do so well, you know? I rely on being correct all the time, nonstop, always being correct, never wrong.
But I do think that the word is appropriate when we are talking about the sexualization of children at a very young age. And if you think that it is not happening, you can go back and watch any of my videos that you would like, especially the shorts and especially the TikToks, where we look at children in schools as young as 2 years old who have sexual identity and gender identity shoved down their throats.
So there is a very big difference between attempting to sexually abuse a child and simply teaching children what is currently the overwhelming academic, medical, and like sociological consensus and psychological consensus on the issue of gender identity, dysphoria, and basically everything having to do with being trans. I don't know any of these particular TikToks. This lady looks crazy because her like glasses are the type of magnification that make your eyes smaller instead of bigger. So it's like she's got these massive glasses on that just shrink her eyes and make her look like an alien. And then you've got possibly the most white Starbucks liberal I've ever seen. I can visualize what this person's LA studio... I can visualize what this person's $2,400 a month LA studio apartment looks like. And we've got an individual here with dyed hair. That's all it takes. A room that's colorful looking, I guess. Someone here who has... I don't know what this person's supposed... What's wrong with this person, I guess, from a conservative perspective, I guess. Piercings, tattoos, that's what triggers conservatives. And this person has piercings and colored hair. Yeah, these things alone are all it'll take for a conservative to say pedophile. That's it. There is no need whatsoever for her to substantiate this. Anybody who supports the LGBT community and is on the internet and God forbid has colored hair, to conservatives and to the audience that is watching this, is a pedophile because they are all pedophiles and they have to divert the attention.
I'm sorry if you think that I'm some ultra right-wing maniac because I don't want 2-year-olds to be thinking about sex. That's just how I feel.
Wait, I forgot. Brett Cooper pretends she's not a conservative. Well, okay, I'm being a little bit too blunt there. She doesn't pretend she's not a conservative. She pretends to be like a moderate, like, you know, like she's definitely conservative in her political leanings, but like she's more of a centrist and she's just looking at all the crazy stuff going on and she's happened to fall on conservatism because of that. That's the way she frames her content, not as being like, I'm a conservative here to make arguments and videos meant to convince you to be a conservative and meant to embed you further in your conservative ideology. Yeah, that obviously the classic grift, of course. The same kind of grift that people like the Quartering do, but not quite as shameless because the Quartering still to this day claims that he's apolitical and he's like a centrist.
So in that sense, I do think that the word groomer is appropriate. Twitter apparently does not. Twitter was also accused of not enforcing this policy prior to this week because apparently it has been around for a while, but they have not been suspending or banning people. So once this was all brought to their attention, they have started knocking people off.
Do you guys remember when Twitter came out and said that they don't apply their TOS equally to conservative politicians and like everybody else? Because if they did, then every single conservative politician would be banned for homophobia, racism, and like other types of bigotry, because they literally all have tweets going back, like calling, like a bunch of them had tweets going back years ago calling Mexican immigrants words that conservative white men call Mexican immigrants, and shit like that. Yeah, just the kind of stuff that Twitter would have to ban anybody else over, but, you know, they know how it looks if they actually apply their rules fairly and actually end up banning all the racism, and it ends up all being conservatives, because while everybody knows that conservatives are racist and conservatives make up like 99% of racists in our society, it's still one of those things you're not allowed to like just outright say broadly that, oh yeah, conservatives make up the vast majority of racists, yeah, and bigots across yeah, the vast majority of people making this country horrible for marginalized people are conservatives. Yeah, saying that is not a very socially acceptable thing, even in most like liberal and like centrist spaces, because it's too extreme. You know, oh, not every conservative is that bad. Sure, not every conservative is that bad, but every conservative is enabling the conservatives that are that bad, unless they're actively fighting against them.
Off the platform like crazy. Tim Pool was suspended for saying okay groomer, a couple of other right-wing commentators, that kind of thing. They're getting knocked off the platform right and left, and they're getting all of those messages that say like, you need to delete this tweet in order to get your account back, whatever. They are going full steam ahead. This is a classic example of
I got a tweet telling me I got a thing telling me I needed to delete a tweet and delete. Okay, when Lonnie made her twit longer post on me, I quote tweeted it with her arrest report from the couple days before, completely public, by the way, to disprove the lies that she was saying in her post. And I was like, here's a government document that proves what you just said is a fucking lie. And a bunch of the woke scolds mass reported it, and Twitter made me take it down simply because of that, okay? Listen, Twitter telling you to take down a tweet is not a good gauge of whether or not something is TOS. Twitter will ask you to take down a tweet after enough people report it. Just that. Just because. It doesn't matter what the tweet says. If enough people report it, Twitter will just lock your account and ask you to delete it because it's easier.
Of a left-wing tactic where when the right makes headway in the culture war or just anything in general, the left thinks that their only course of action is to run in, grab the word, grab the topic, redefine it, say that now we are marginalizing people, that we're oppressing people, and then throw it back to their side. I mean, literally yesterday, the White House announced that we are changing the technical definition of a recession so that they can claim that Biden has not gotten us into a recession. This literally happens every single day.
Have conservatives found a lie yet to point to about how Biden caused a recession? I'm really curious. Have they found a lie yet? Because it's been months now, and they haven't found an explanation for how. I've yet to hear a conservative tell me how Biden made gas prices go up, or how Biden made like all the food prices go up, and how Biden made inflation go up. None of them can explain how. They just say he did it. The best I've heard is Russia. Biden being mean to Russia, tariffs did it. Yep. Well, tariffs, that's what did it. Yep. That's what caused it. Yeah. You think so? That's what did it, huh? Zan, that wasn't really what they were saying there. It's not about Biden causing it. I mean, most people say that way true. Well, here's the thing. For one, we are heading towards an economic recession, and I think we went into I think it's like right now we're kind of like bumping a little bit upwards right now. I've seen like food's a bit cheaper right now. Gas has gotten a little bit cheaper, at least where I am. And I know that Biden's made an effort to make gas cheaper as well, which is probably why gas has gotten cheaper. I saw an article about that I read like 3 weeks ago or something. And I know that things have gotten a bit better. Not much, but a bit. And so it's a little bit on the up bump, but I'm still seeing stuff claiming we're on the edge of a recession. Snopes fact check definition of a recession. Oh, yay. Are we about to call out another bald-faced lie? From Brett Cooper, a conservative demagogue, just blatantly lying? Did the White House change the definition of recession? Quote unquote, apparently the White House is changing the definition of recession this week so we can pretend that we're not in one, said one prominent Biden critic. False. Is a recession defined as two consecutive fiscal quarters of falling gross domestic product, or GDP? GDP is defined as the money value of all goods and services purchased by customers in the country. We all know what GDP is. That's the crux of what the critics of U.S. President Joe Biden alleged in July 2020 social media posts and commentary claiming the White House changed the definition of what a recession is. For example, Donald Trump Jr., the eldest son of former President, did the White House... Okay, here's the actual thing. The short answer is no, but that doesn't mean we're not in a recession, nor does it mean the White House hasn't been doing all it can to get out in front of bad economic news. We will explain. The tweets quoted above may give readers the misleading impression that the Biden administration literally tried to reverse the criteria economists use to determine when a recession has occurred, but that was not the case. Those criteria are determined and assessed by a committee that is part of the National Bureau of Economic Research, NBER, an independent nonprofit organization. The NBER's Business Cycle Dating Committee is made up of 8 elite economists who weigh a number of factors, not just whether the economy shrank for 2 consecutive fiscal quarters. They act as the official arbiters who make the call on whether or not there's a recession. Among the factors considered are personal incomes, employment, consumer spending, retail sales, and industrial production. There is, quote unquote, there is no fixed rule about what measures contribute information to the process or how they are weighted in our decisions, according to the NBER. Therefore, in the U.S., there is no formal definition for what constitutes a recession, said Nicholas Bloom, economics professor at Stanford University. Oh, same university that our boy Ben Shapiro went to. And because it takes a while for the necessary data to come out, the NBER committee often doesn't determine that the U.S. is in a recession until months or sometimes even years after it's already happened. It's always looking backwards looking, Bloom said. Outside the U.S., nevertheless, the 2-quarter downturn rule is a widely used metric, said David Blanchflower. So basically, it was just a lie. So something that you really just have to become used to if you're ever going to do what I do is getting really good at picking out what examples conservatives use to back up their points, because they're always either lies or very, very shameless twists of the truth, just like what we just saw. Do you guys remember back when the conservatives lost their mind over Snopes? Because, so back in 2016, so prior to 2016, prior to Trump, there was always fact-checking websites. Snopes is always a thing. There was always fact-checking, and, there were always sources you could go to kind of cut through the partisan bullshit left and right and find, okay, here's what actually happened, and, is this narrative mostly true, false, mostly false? Here's we'll break it down. Here's what actually happened, and here's whether or not the political statement that you're hearing, how true it is to how false it is, right? And there's a sliding scale. So it's not just, it's pretty fair. It's not it's clearly has a left-wing bias, as reality does, but Snopes, for example, is pretty much the most reputable fact-checking source out there for American politics, as far as I know. And conservatives got really mad because in 2016, sites like Snopes started to just be a go-to source to just... All you have to do is find a conservative tweet where they lie about a thing, and then quote tweet them with the Snopes article about it, where it says, "Is tweet true? Nope, it's false," from a reputable fact-checking site. So it's just easy to call out lies. So conservatives started to just absolutely lose their mind over fact-checking sites. And I remember back, that was a big part of the fall of the original Gamergate age, was when they started debunking the fact-checking sites. That started to be a big red flag for a lot of people when the fact-checking sites became the enemy of the skeptic YouTubers. So I wonder if we'll see that arc happen again with these conservatives. They'll start waging war against the fact-checkers.
And now it is happening with groomer. Somebody said, Ped0s is trending because we're supposed to be accepting of pedophiles now, according to scholars. No, hell no. I spent a lot of time trying to help survivors put their lives back together after what monsters did to them. How about we think about them instead? And then this person retweeted a video that I think is actually from 2017, which is even more horrifying. The fact that this has been going on.
I'm pretty sure that's literally a random fucking TED Talk. Is that not just some random TED Talk that some academic or probably some nobody gave in 2017? Wait, what kind of an attempt to soften the blow is that? Oh, yeah, this video is literally from nearly or over oh my god. Oh god. I just realized 2017 was 5 years ago. Oh my god. I need a minute. Okay, I'm back. I like how she had to soften the blow of, by the way, this is a 5-year-old video I'm freaking out about and starting a moral panic over. Oh yeah, the reason why it's terrifying, it's actually an old video that's irrelevant now and caused no harm is because this has been going on for a long time. That's what's been happening. What kind of what is this, some Pizzagate shit? What are you smoking? What are you smoking, Brett? I want some.
Since 2017, and we are just now attacking this conversation. I do think that that is a common problem with the right. It is very, very slow to catch on to these topics, to catch on to what the left is subconsciously putting into our culture. It's like the other day when I was talking about the stupid cow them. That was in 2019, and we weren't talking about it. This has been slowly going on. They have been chipping away.
I'm gonna cut out in a moment to another thing here in a moment. But let's just watch.
At what is good in our society, and we are just now freaking out about it. So I guess the lesson here is that.
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and listen to some Nazi propaganda really quick. All right. So we're going to go ahead and read the Wikipedia article on a term called degenerate art, coined, of course, by our boy Adolf of the Fourth Reich. Third Reich? Which one? I'm sorry. There was a group on 2B2T called the Fourth Reich, and now I genuinely can't remember if the Nazis were the Third or the Fourth Reich anymore. We'll say they were the Fourth. Degenerate art. German. German is. I'm pretty sure it's a hate crime to try to pronounce that. Degenerate art was a term adopted in the 1920s by the Nazi Party in Germany to describe modern art. During the dictatorship of Adolf Hitler, bad guy, by the way, you might remember, German modernist art, including many works of internationally renowned artists, was removed from state-owned museums and banned in Germany on the grounds that such art was an insult to German feeling, un-German, Freemasonic, Jewish, or communist. You know, the Nazis sure hated the idea of art with communist themes being allowed to exist in society. Where have I heard people complain about that before? That's an interesting little parallel. Or communist in nature. Those identified as degenerate artists were subjected to sanctions that included being dismissed from teaching positions, being forbidden to exhibit or sell their art, and in some cases being forbidden to produce art. Degenerate art is also the title of an exhibition made by the Nazis in Munich. And while the modern art styles were prohibited, the Nazis promoted paintings and sculptures that were traditional and that exalted the blood and soil values of racial purity, militarism, and obedience. Similar restrictions were placed upon music, which is expected to be tonal and free of any jazz influences. This approved music was termed degenerate music. Films and plays were also censored. So, this goes on to explain how the Nazis believe that this degenerate art, which, by the way, is literally just exactly what conservatives are calling anything that has any progressive values, by the way. They're just not using that term because it's a Nazi term. It's just they're just doing the same thing, though. They're claiming that this art that exists, that has messaging, contrary to their very, very narrow worldview, ought not be allowed to exist because those that support it and those that like it are apparently pedophiles that need to be killed. I mean, they won't outright say the killed part, but you know, we had the whole. I talked about how we feel about pedophiles here. Fair enough to say, when you convince a crowd of people that a certain group of people are pedophiles, then some of that group of people are going to want to attack the group of people they think are pedophiles, right? So, it's a pretty easy line of logic to follow where it's supposed to lead. Anyway, very similar to Nazi strategy. The idea was to claim that this art, this messaging, this media that was corrupting society. It was degenerate. It had values that were contrary to a good, moral, white society, and they banned it and they punished those that produced it. And that is exactly what would happen, and exactly what people like Brett Cooper would do if they took power, and exactly what people like Brett Cooper's fan base would do. They do not want there to be any outlet through which anybody who disagrees with their worldview is allowed to exist. top Nazis couldn't even tell if their favorite artist's work was fake. Well, to be fair, I don't think I could. I don't think anybody can tell if art is fake. That's probably, if we're being honest, I think that's probably one of the least bad things those top Nazi guys did, was not being able to tell what art was fake and what was real.
That we just need to be on top of this stuff. This has to be stopped at the beginning. And so redefining words and saying that we can't talk about grooming, not really a step in the right direction for our fight.
It is our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles and to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with. We should accept that pedophilia is a sexual preference.
These people can't talk about their feelings because they know that they will be hated for it.
Yeah, rightfully so.
We're talking about a sexual orientation. Something that we simply cannot change.
You did not have to do that. You knew you did not have to do that.
No, I want them gone. They haven't done anything wrong. They want to molest children. I'd say that's pretty immoral.
Wait, oh no. Wait, she's not even... well, to be fair, conservatives don't want children to... Well, okay. So to be clear, guys, as I've said many times in the video, and this here is more or less what proves it to me. If you need more evidence, then you can keep looking, but... conservatives like this don't actually care about protecting children. This is a political move. They're trying to slander LGBT people as pedophiles in a move to make a political point, because they want to drum up more hatred towards gay people, but now they've run out of propagandistic lies to make up, or to try to claim are like... Now it doesn't work anymore to just show a video of like some college student with pink hair and piercings like saying something woke. So now you have to make things up about them and claim that now they're pedophiles or something to like drum up the same level of moral panic you could back in the day. So there's no desire here to protect children from Brett Cooper, which is why there's no desire from her to institutionalize a system for rehabilitating pedophiles. So this should also be a red flag into the knowledge that this lady has about the topic. This is a pretty blatant example of not understanding terminology. Pedophile and child sexual predator are not synonymous. I know. We just had the big rant earlier, I know, but they are not synonymous. And I'm not saying this for like protecting pedophiles or whatever. I'm saying this for the sake of making sure you have your wording right, because it's good to be correct. Pedophiles are simply those that are attracted to children, regardless of whether or not they've acted on those desires in any way, shape, or form. If they have those desires, they are a pedophile. Straight, just they're through and through. That is how the word works. You become a child molester or a kitty diddler, or whatever word you want to use for it, child sexual predator, once you actually act on those urges. Now, our goal as people that want to prevent children from getting hurt by these people should be to get as many of the pedophiles that have not acted on their urges and hopefully want to get help to voluntarily get help to stem those urges, to stem that philia. It is not an orientation, by the way. It is a philia, so that they do not end up hurting children. Evidence suggests that providing treatment, as opposed to simply demonizing pedophiles in our society and making them molest children more secretively and more carefully, does not prevent kids from getting hurt. It doesn't prevent kids from getting molested. It doesn't. Treatment, institutionalized treatment, does. She does not care about that, though. She cares about utilizing victimized children for political gain, and monetary gain, too, which is really disgusting to me.
And then the first woman said that we all need to start respecting pedophiles and acknowledging that pedophilia is some kind of sexual preference. No, I'm not going to. That's creepy. If you are a pedophile, you are sick in the head. I don't think that if you're gay, you're sick in the head, but if you want to have sex with kids, yeah, I'd say that you are. Yeah, this was going on in 2017. And we are just now talking about it. I'm not saying that the entire LGBTQ...
By the way, it's completely fine to say things like this, that if you if you want to fuck kids, then you're sick in the head. That's fine to say. And I think it's fine to feel as well. That is a completely valid feeling. Even if you're of the opinion that we should instigate institutional measures in order to provide treatment to non-offending pedophiles in order to provide them with the ability to no longer have that philia so they are not a threat to children, even if you agree with that, it is still fine for your blood to fucking boil at the thought of a pedophile. It's fine. Like I said before. Is she replying to a fake chat? Is she replying to a Wait, yeah, she's acting like she's live streaming. She's not live. This isn't a live segment she did. This is live. There's a chat on screen that I'm talking to right now. She's fake streamer, true. She's just adopting the streamer aesthetic. Not gonna lie though, if she actually went onto a live stream like what I do and had to like respond to a video or talk about a topic on end without any breaks, without any cuts, without any editing, without any like time to stop and think for a second about what you're gonna say next, it is a fucking skill. And she would not be good at it.
Community is made up of groomers. There's a fantastic group called Gays Against Groomers that are actively fighting against this within the community. They are absolutely incredible.
Do you guys remember? Okay, so Gays Against Groomers, we covered that with when Ariel Scarcella made a video where she's joining them. So Gays Against Groomers is a hate group, by the way, I'm pretty sure. Here, let's go ahead and look into it here. So yeah, this is literally a whole NPR article breaking it down. All right, accusations of grooming are the latest political attack with homophobic origins. Actually, we can just play the audio. NPR.
One word features in a lot of recent right-wing rhetoric, and that word is grooming.
They're grooming 7-year-olds and talking to 7-year-olds with their sex lives.
This isn't programming. This is propaganda for grooming.
If you don't want to be called a groomer, don't try to sexualize 6 and 7-year-old children.
Okay, that was Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham of Fox News, along with Ohio U.S. Senate candidate J.D. Vance, just a few of those who've been pushing a baseless accusation. NPR's Melissa Block reports it is a smear with a history.
Mallory McMorrow was stunned when she saw it. She's a Michigan state senator and a Democrat. What she saw was a fundraising email sent by a fellow senator, Republican Lana Tice. In that email, Tice wrote that children are, quote, under assault in our schools by what she called progressive mobs trying to steal our children's innocence. And then, McMorrow says, it got personal.
She accused me by name of grooming and wanting to sexualize kindergartners. I mean, my heart absolutely sank.
McMorrow says she kept thinking about her 1-year-old daughter.
You know, grooming is the act of befriending a child for the purpose of molesting them. Just the most horrific, disgusting, vile accusation that can be thrown at you.
So the next day, McMorrow stood on the Michigan Senate floor and fired back.
I am the biggest threat to your hollow, hateful scheme because you can't claim that you are targeting marginalized kids in the name of, quote, parental rights if another parent is standing up to say no.
McMorrow made a point of saying twice, I am a straight, white, Christian, married, suburban mom.
And I know that hate will only win if people like me stand by and let it happen.
That speech went viral. It's been seen millions of times. McMorrow hopes her words will counterbalance some of the hurtful rhetoric LGBTQ people are bombarded with.
So this is not an unknown issue. It's been widely known by pretty much everybody in the space who has been analyzing the astroturfed, bought and paid for by ghoulish billionaires, conservative demagogue talking points, that this is a long-standing talking point. Back in the day, they just outright used to accuse gay people, just, capital G gay people, of and capital L lesbian people of being pedophiles. Mostly capital G gay guys of being pedophiles, because it's just easier to convince people of that than convince them that lesbians are pedophiles for some reason. And that's what it was, and obviously there was no evidence of that. The accusation of that, while still around today, is even this lady right here has said, I'm not saying gay people are pedophiles. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is all trans people are pedophiles, because now trans people are, I'm not saying trans people haven't always been a group of people that have been vying for, support and rights and respect and haven't always been owed it, but more so it's been the last 10 years or so, we've really seen trans rights come into the forefront as, like, the civil rights issue. Like, I'd say right now, like, prison reform and, like, trying to fix the bullshittery we did socioeconomically as white people, because all white people are monolith, to the black community here in America. That's a pretty big part of it too, like BLM, and then also like everything having to do with like I want to do a video one of these days where I talk about the actual policy that could be implemented to improve the socioeconomic status of like particularly like lower income POC groups in America. A big part of it starts at the schools, right? And the way that they're funded and the taxes. If you live in a bad neighborhood, the property taxes are going to be dog shit, really low. And so you're not really getting a lot of money going to the schools. And when you have not a lot of money going to the schools, you don't really have teachers that like their job, that are really like doing their job well. You don't have good textbooks and desks and pencils and computers and everything. You're getting a worse education, and that's just cyclical, There's so many things we could go into, but yeah, conservatives don't give a shit about any of it because it's too nuanced, and nuance doesn't make money. Guys, listen, I'm sorry to break it to you, but on the internet, nuance doesn't make money. All right, being nuanced and having like a careful, well thought out breakdown of a situation and coming to the most reasonable take is not going. That alone does not make money online. Okay, it does not bring in the viewers. It does not keep the lights on. You making up insane lies, trying to create an imaginary enemy, an imaginary war to fight. That's what brings in views. That's what brings in the traffic. That's what people like this do. It's what they rely on. They convince their audience that they are fighting in a 24/7, 365 fucking nonstop war online, a culture war, and it never ever ends. In fact, the only way to win is to always subscribe and watch your favorite conservative content creator and donate to their Patreons and everything. It's the only way to beat the lefties and to save our children from the groomers or whatever.
But there is one side of the political aisle that is advocating for this kind of behavior, that excuses it, that says things like that. I'll call all of them groomers. I don't care if you're gay, straight, bi, or whatever. If you are advocating...
The idea that she would say the left is the one advocating for pedophilia and grooming when the right is just definitively right now fighting to defend child marriage in all the red states here in the US. It is, whew.
Advocating for it, groomer. I'm pissed that Twitter won't let me say it now. South Park, per usual, predicted this. Here's a video from a few years ago. Again, I don't know how they do this, but they just know. Here we go.
Our forefathers came to this country because they believed in an idea called freedom. They wanted to live in a place where one couldn't be prosecuted for their beliefs, where a person can live the way he chooses to live. You see us as being perverted because we're...
This is about the NAMBLA. This is the NAMBLA episode of South Park. NAMBLA? Mambla? I don't remember which. NAMBLA? Is that what it's called? Membla? I'm trying to remember the exact acronym. What was it again? Okay. This is an old episode of South Park, guys, and this is an older meme, all right? Most of you guys are too young, okay? Before there were maps, there was the... What was it called? NAMBLA. Yeah, NAMBLA. There was NAMBLA. I don't remember... What's the acronym again? What's the stand? I hate having to Google this shit. God damn it. North American Man/Boy Love Association. So yeah, NAMBLA was a very notorious and extremely overwhelmingly made fun of and dunked on pedophile advocacy group that you don't really hear about anymore because, it's irrelevant and fell apart a long time ago and nobody talks about it anymore. But back in the day, it had its shining moment of relevance when people when reactionaries freaked out over it and honestly gave it a lot more attention than it probably really needed. Wrong, it stands for North American Marlon Brando lookalikes. Fuck you. Okay. All right. Once she starts bringing up South Park clips and claiming that South Park predicted the future, I think we're running. I think we've run out of anything close to something resembling an argument she's going to provide. So I think this is where we'll wrap things up. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, ring the bell icon if you haven't already, so you don't miss a Xanderhall stream. I'll do my outro like Brett Cooper does hers. And if you want to support me financially so I can move to Seattle, get a house, and raise quail for my content, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or financially supporting me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon, linked all down below. Also, follow my social media, including my Twitter, where all the best memes are. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.